Jif.
It's
Jif.
a GIF.
I just think peanut
Jif
butter.
is a peanut butter, right? Yeah, it's peanut butter. It's a GIF is an animated repeating image,
Correct.
graphic image.
well, how do you
That's
pronounce
why I go with-
JPEG then? How's is it JPEG?
JPEG.
There's a funny GIF about
JPEG
GIFs where he pronounces a bunch of different things. With the,
All I know is that the man that created it says Jif.
that is an
Well,
unfortunate.
he's
Man
wrong.
who created it.
It's an unfortunate truth.
That sounds like a dialect thing.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I think
regional
it's just
differences.
Like a regional, yeah.
Right. Could be.
Yeah,
I took linguistics courses for a
Yeah.
little bit. For a little bit. That didn't last very long, but
That's a fascinating. I was telling somebody on the podcast the other day, like I was researching Roman history, and I came across how like China reported all their historical findings, what they called the whole Mediterranean world, and I was like, I've never heard of any of these names, like all these place names.
Yeah.
Like I knew what the difference, like the Greeks called certain areas this and the Romans called them this, but like I never made all the connections. It was apparently everybody has a different linguistic term for Rome. So
sweet.
yeah.
Yeah, the more you know, right? That
The star.
Yeah, the star. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, hey, let's get started. We got Thurman Storm. This is an episode after the show, by the way. So we're talking
Yes.
Star Wars, new movie.
New movie. Okay.
Your second appearance, Thurman. Congratulations
Thank you.
on your
Yeah.
recent master's degree. You could recently graduated
Yes.
since coming on the podcast.
That's right. Thank you.
Yes. Julie, class of 06.
Yeah.
Right. You just moved back and you're in Arkansas. You're working in Arkansas. But you've recently been in San Diego.
Yeah. I was in San Diego for 5.5 years.
Did you go to grad school there or what?
No, I was just working at UC San Diego.
Oh,
I was the academic advisor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Josh, third appearance on the podcast.
Achievement unlocked.
Yes, and with your Jedi robes, nonetheless.
Well, I wore this because
You needed the power of the Force to
I was
argue.
feeling insecure about my fandom. So I just wanted to say, like, I'm also a legitimate Star Wars fan, you can tell, even though I'm probably the least educated person here. And know the least amount about the movies overall.
See, he's already established us as like the bigger nerds.
Well,
That's,
okay, so-
that's not the way to introduce yourself.
Well, we got it this way. We all only got the original trilogy through the remastered, right?
Wrong.
That's not
Wrong.
correct.
Oh, did you guys see it in the 83 or whatever?
No.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
We
It was
had
on
it
VHS,
We
though.
had
Oh,
it
yeah,
on
well, I mean, yeah.
Laserdisc.
Yeah, yeah. Our dad actually had both Empire and Return of the Jedi on Laserdisc. So we were watching that like back in the 80s and
So would that be a different
90s.
cut than the VHS?
Yes. Yeah, well,
No.
the VHS, because we had Star Wars,
Yeah,
the
we
first
had
one, episode 4, right? Because you have to now specify, because even
As long as the VHS was purchased before
Yeah.
the remastered,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
the
then-
original.
Okay, that's what- that's
and
what
I
I
watched
grew up
those too. You know,
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
Well-
but then it like the mass of the culture, like in the 90s, when the like 95 they started releasing all the toys that I'm buying. Right, there's a TIE fighter right down here. But but that's like, and that was a surge of like the revamping in the culture of like Toys R Us like released this 1977 molds, and then they went back to the original molds in 97 when the re-release of the trope. But I just remember being like, what, I would have been 9 years old when the first, like, I think 97 when it came out, and I was like, yeah. But then, like, right after they released all those, the prequels, episode 1 starts.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was in 99.
99.
1999.
So it's really been a fixture of our entire lives, and culturally speaking, and then
Yeah.
even before.
I mean, I don't remember a time in my life where I didn't know what Star Wars was. We watched them since we were kids.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is completely off topic, but I just want to make a commercial for people to stop making references, like major spoiler references to the original movies before children have time to watch them. It's impossible to raise children without them knowing that, like,
Yeah.
the relationship between Luke and Darth Vader.
Yeah,
'Cause it's the same.
right.
So
I appreciate this because, you know, I mean, I just had Luna You know?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, you know, at some point she's going to be, we watch movies in the background or whatever, but you know, she's of course doesn't, you know, the memory or whatever of it. But yeah, at some point, right, she's going to be introduced to it. And yeah, who's going to spoil alert, you know, it for
It's
her
really
at some
hard.
point?
And
It's not going to be us.
It's not really a reasonable request to not spoil a movie that's however many 40 years old.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
A movie that's old, a movie that most of the population has seen.
yeah.
I mean, it's that's like pop culture.
But it's like
That's-
impossible for a kid to watch it and
Have that same kind
have that
of
moment.
Yeah.
Isn't there a weird mandala effect on like that relationship saying that we're talking about?
Yeah,
Like, he
everyone
doesn't
gets the
actually
quote
say- yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, it's
Everybody
Yeah.
gets a quote.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's
yeah.
fascinating.
That's true.
what it's supposed to be. I mean, like everybody
I
usually
think-
says what, like Luke, I am your
Luke, I am
father,
your
but
father,
it's
yeah.
supposed to be like
No.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
I am.
I
your
don't think
father.
that's anything
Yeah, right.
to think
Yeah.
there's a parallel universe where he said that, but
I don't know. Bernstein Bears.
Bernstein Bears,
that's,
yeah.
that's pretty weird. So it's not the
Kazam,
Bernstein
Shazam.
Bears.
I mean, I never saw the Sinbad version, but
Oh yeah,
Shazam.
What about
I-
Berenstein Bears?
is
It's Berenstain
yeah,
Bears
it's
is
spelled
the actual
it's spelled
last
like
name.
what I-A-N.
I think it's A-I-N.
Or A-I, yeah.
Yeah, but
sorry.
everyone thought it was Steen.
Right, yeah. I always thought it was Bernstein Bears, and that just kind of like warped my mind. I was like, what? And I was like, what, you know, that was pretty weird. But I worked with a guy who adamantly claimed that there was a movie where Sinbad was in it as a genie. Like he couldn't get over the
Shaquille
fact.
O'Neal, not Shaquille.
Yeah, not like not what was that? Kazam? Wasn't that the name of the Shaq
Kazam.
movie?
Yeah, I don't even know if it was Kazam or Shazam. I can't.
It's Kazam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You probably
Remember when he
remember.
makes it rain like junk food? That's super cool.
It's not a good movie.
It's not.
It's not even worth talking about.
That's the only part I really remember. Oh man.
Can I get one of those waters?
Yeah. Hey, let me go grab you one real quick.
I'm sorry.
No.
Or was this like a plot? Was I the only one left without a water on purpose?
Yeah.
We got peppermints if you want those.
That's all we have to offer.
Yeah,
is
that's all.
peppermint.
That's
I
our.
can't
that's
believe
our
we've
offering.
been trying. We've been casually messaging about once every 8 months.
Yes.
Hey, we should hang out. We should hang out.
And here we are.
This is finally what did
yeah.
it.
Yeah. This is finally what brought us all together.
The Force brought you together.
So I was
Superstitious
It's
mumbo
always
jumbo.
the Force.
I was joking. I don't remember who of you I was joking with about it, but like actually the first time I met Thurman was at that time that Frame of Reference played at the Marvin.
Oh my gosh.
Like literally, first time I ever met him, he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
No, see,
Were you?
no,
Yeah,
see,
it's-
No.
I thought at
spiky
that
hair.
point I was beyond, or
Yeah.
that I was
This is
beyond that
Mandela
point.
effect.
Right.
I was gonna say I wouldn't have put a Hawaiian shirt on him.
Did
Right,
you have
right.
spiky blonde hair?
No, I don't think I did because that was
No.
senior year. That was
Yeah.
like what, maybe April of 2003, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm a historian, y'all. I remember this stuff. Okay.
You always remember the month and the year.
Yeah, but because I was pretty, because if that was the show at the Marvin L. Vincent Center, yeah, that was spring of 03. That's the one where that's like the prominent concert I remember.
Yeah.
I think that was the only one actually.
Well,
Well, there was the one on your back porch.
Okay.
yeah,
There
that's
was the talent show. There was the talent.
Yeah,
Talent
The talent
shows
show?
and the Marvin, I think were the.
yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to talking about something
Yeah,
interesting.
back to Star Wars. See,
Dude, it was a great concert.
We should have just done a catching up episode. So
Yeah, it's going to be hard for me not to jump in. I mean,
Let's do it.
Thurman Soaring was legendary. The coolest person that anyone knew.
See, I
Once
think
in
this is
acting-
kind of revisionism, but
Once in acting class, we were like practicing. The teacher was saying, you can become a character by walking like that character.
Oh my
And
gosh.
everyone was doing like famous walks or trying to do famous walks. And I was like, I got one. And I walk like Thurman Soaring, and everyone knew it immediately.
yeah, it's like somewhere around the George Jefferson. That's kind of what
George
that
Jefferson.
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore though.
You don't do the walk?
No.
Oh, man.
That's sad.
So you can even argue.
We're gonna-
Are you even the same
it
person?
even exist?
You know, or
Mandela
was that an
effect.
act the whole time? You know, it's like it could have been. I don't know. No.
We're in a simulation right now. Okay, I just want to
What
point
Matrix?
that out. Yeah,
Is it-
this is all a simulation.
Okay.
Let's just work from there. Actually, I just had a physics professor on, and we talked briefly about that. And she's just like, "You want to get Instagram views? We talk about this." And I was just like, "Oh my god!" Yeah. So, let's just get everybody's take on this. So like, hey, I will say, like, I joked on Facebook. I've watched the movie twice, and I've talked about it more hours than I watched the new movie. Right, like because it's just come up on the podcast, and
Which I mean, but that's
talking with people online.
That's astonishing because the movie's like what 2.5 hours long or something like that.
2 hours and 22 minutes, I think. Has anybody seen it twice?
No.
No.
You didn't want
I
to
don't
go
know
see
if I'll
it
ever
the
see it
second?
twice.
Oh man.
Which I will say, like, you're kind of a movie fanatic. Is that on franchises that you enjoy, right? Like I was joking about Lord of the Rings earlier and stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm just a movie fanatic. Period.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I love it, and I wanted to give it a second
connoisseur of
chance.
cinema.
Yeah.
That's what.
And
Cinephiles.
my opinion went up just slightly.
Slightly.
After the second, like,
Okay.
So, but let's just get everybody's take. Starting, I feel like Josh has met possibly the most rational take, the balancing opinion. So we'll maybe let you open and close this whole thing.
Okay, my take is. Okay, first of all, I did no research specifically. I had the idea to like go read a bunch of Reddit threads or something to try to like bolster my knowledge again because I'm a little insecure in this room. But I realize my position is that's the sort of thing that ruins movies in general. So all I know is what I have absorbed out of the internet. My take is this. I'm so nervous. Okay, my take is that the movies are fun. I just enjoy the movies, and that's the only measure of entertainment. Was it fun for me?
You know, like one measure I pull on all the new movies is this. Out of all the arguments you could make for this or that, and nitpicking or whatever, is I like seeing new stuff. Right, like you guys remember in Last Jedi where the X-wing where Poe like drifts it. I'd never seen that, so I was like, "Oh, I've never seen that." Now there's some stuff I've never seen, like Leia force flying through space. that wasn't. But
That's not
like,
something you
things
wanna
I've never
see.
seen. The flying stormtroopers.
Okay, so the back half of my argument is we didn't fall in love with the original movies because they were like these infallible, perfect stories. We fell in love with them because they were fun, and we just like to watch them. And I think there's a little bit of the what's the effect? Mandela. I think there is a little bit of a Mandela effect about the original trilogy, that it was like that they were like these Godfather type like super serious, like perfect. Not that they're not perfect or that they're not really good movies, but that they were like some super serious religious experience,
Like a utopia. Like
and I think they're just awesome, fun movies, and I think that's why people fell in love with them in the first place. And I think any movie or series of movies, if we use the level of scrutiny that we use for Star Wars, would fall apart. So that's kind of like the two sides of my argument, is that I don't pay any attention to the internet for Star Wars. I don't even watch the trailers. I walk out of the theater
How do you deal with headlines?
whenever I don't even look at the movie posters.
What? You're like
It's
walking
all-
into the
I
theater
do.
with your
I
hands
do,
over your
because
eyes.
it's all like spoilers and creates expectations, and the expectations for these movies gets like higher and higher every time. It's impossible to go in with like a clear head, and like so I'm like in the like my whole family goes to the movie on Thanksgiving. Star Wars trailer comes up. I get up and walk out of the theater. until it's over.
That's the most outrageous thing I think I've heard. That's
Okay, so because I just want to go in with no expectations, I don't want to make a statement about whether or not I like it online. Then I go into the movie trying to defend that statement, like trying to say, well, this movie's no good. Like, oh, they've already ruined these movies. So now I walk into the theater thinking, how do I defend what I've already said? So all I know is I go into the theater, I love it, and I have fun. That's the first part. The second part is the original movies are a lot of fun, but they are not as perfect as we remember them, trying to, in an attempt to destroy the new ones. And I'm just talking in circles now, so I'm going to stop talking.
I'm just.
Have you? Okay, so you love Lord of the Rings, the trilogy movie. Do you think any of this, what he's talking about, like for you with the Hobbit trilogy coming out?
Well, when I go see a movie, I just judge a movie based off of whether it's good, it's bad, what it does good, what it doesn't do well. I'm a huge Tolkien fan. Obviously loved Lord of the Rings, saw it, multiple times in the theater. When I saw The Hobbit, I went and saw it for my birthday. We went to a midnight showing, me and some friends. Midway through the movie, I was like, what is this? I just call it this is not good. There's things in the Hobbit movies that are good. I liked some of the casting, but as far as storytelling, it's not good. I feel like the same thing with Star Wars. I love the original trilogy. I think they are good movies. I think they do hold up to critiques. These new movies, to me, just aren't very good. The storytelling, I don't think is good. I don't like the characters. This new one, Rise of Skywalker, I think the worst thing for me with it was that the only time I felt something during the movie was when I had to go to the bathroom about halfway through.
Yikes. Which I bet you weren't too upset about getting up and doing that.
Actually, I was like, if I get up and go, I'm going to miss something, and then everyone's going to be like, well, what about that? And I'll be like, well, I was in the bathroom.
Right. So to me, that's how I gauge if a movie is good or not. How many times you get up to go to the restroom? Twice for The Last Jedi. So that shows, how much
I will jump in and say,
I
didn't like the Hobbit movies either. I've never even seen a full one.
Oh, you didn't make it through?
So I'm just
they're like 3
the last
hours
long.
The first two, I was okay with.
So I'm not just saying you should just enjoy all movies because all people work hard on movies, and so you should just enjoy them.
I was pulling that one because it's kind of interesting because you get like an original trilogy, but even though that's the prequel story in time, it's like, oh, that's the next trilogy.
Yeah.
And so like comparing trilogies, because I mean you gotta, like, Star Wars is unique in that like it spans more than 9 films now. Like, what is it, actually 11 films, and you got all the shows, so it's like it's really become a cinematic universe, even more so than any point in our life, whether you like the prequels or not. And I think like maybe that is
that would be less hours though than the Marvel universe, right?
Yeah. Marvel is up to what, 20 something movies.
Yeah.
See,
And
I
counting.
think, to me, like Star Wars, now its cinematic universe is comparable to the Marvel movies, but also because they're both owned by Disney.
Do you guys have Disney Plus?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I did is I watched it, then I came home and I watched the entire
password, but
I watched the entire trilogy of Disney Plus, all of them.
I'm gonna get my Disney Plus access taken away.
Right. Well, but before we went and saw the Rise of Skywalker in the theater, I mean that's what we did on Disney Plus, is that we ran through all the movies, but we did it in the chronological order that in the universe, in the Star Wars universe, it should be. So you start out with Phantom Menace, right? It's the first movie, and then you move
so I've never done that. I've always watched them in release order.
I mean, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Where are we all on the prequels?
How we feel about them?
Yeah.
Okay, Josh, do you want to start us off, or is this because I feel like you're probably going to be more sympathetic, maybe?
Well,
maybe
originally I didn't like the prequels.
Okay.
Because they were so different than what I expected going in, and I wouldn't ever try to defend Jar Jar.
Dude, he's the one pulling the strings. It's not Palpatine.
I have seen that internet theory. That's interesting. I was hoping for at least a nod to that And like they did so much nostalgia winks.
Yeah.
But I guess they didn't go as far to like wink to some far corner of the internet. But whenever what's the first one of the new set?
The Force Awakens?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So when that was coming out, I wanted my daughter to go see it. I wanted to take her. And so I was like, hey, we're going to sit down and watch all these movies.
Right.
That's when I first discovered that no one gets to watch the first trilogy without knowing that Darth is Luke's dad. Because as soon as they came on screen, they're like, oh, that's what Luke, I am your father means.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're watching through them. I chose chronological order, or not. I don't even know I chose release order.
Release order, okay.
Just
Yeah,
because
there's nothing wrong with that.
my thinking was they can't ever make the prequels without thinking that someone's already seen.
Yeah, okay.
Even if that's the intention,
Fair.
it's
That's
just
fair.
like, so that was just what I decided on. I went back and forth a lot. There's even like a weird other order. Have you seen the order that's like not chronological or release order?
It's some sort of like weird
There's some kind of
circle-
loop.
Yeah, loop thing.
A friend of mine sent me that, and then
That's like a bunch of
that's when I was like,
nonsense.
okay, I'm going back to just
That
I'm
is-
going back to the only just release date.
That is someone trying to claim that George Lucas had this all planned
Right.
out, and I
Right.
don't think it's true.
Okay, so watching through, loving it, so fun, and then I'm like, okay, but I didn't want to like bias her. You know, that's like the hardest thing as a parent, to like not just like cram things down their throats or into their brains. So I'm like, okay, we're watching the prequels. Probably not gonna like them, but and then I'm like watching it, and some of the stuff is just like very eye rolly, and it's like, oh gosh, but like the story of the prequels, I kind of like got really into. Then the moment happens at the end of the Darth Vader, and he's like Darth Vader. I was like, that was kind of like a moment. So like, I appreciated the prequels more that time through, sitting down and watching those 6 movies within like 10 days. I don't know. There is a lot of cringeworthy stuff. One of the worst things is all the CGI.
Yeah.
That's
It's not
with
aged very
Coruscant,
well.
too. Like, that's one thing I bring up is like when I saw Coruscant, I was like, this doesn't look like anything else, like Tatooine or Endor. Like, you know, it's just like the dichotomy of like we got Coruscant and then all the CGI and like where the Senate's taking place and all that. It's like
Yeah.
it was too technological.
Well, you can tell it affected the actors as well. I mean, they're just standing on a blue screen. And I always talk about that scene where like Obi-Wan's facing General Grievous and
Yeah,
he
that's
just
in the third
whips all his lightsabers around, and Obi-Wan has no reaction whatsoever because he has no idea.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's looking at.
Yeah,
He
Ewan
doesn't
McGregor doesn't know what's going
gonna be on the
on.
Xbox game. Yeah. So they're definitely, none of the prequels are my favorite, but just the story through those 6, I was a lot on board with that time, just because there was a lot more tension I understood it a lot better than I did watching it as one of those come out.
It started in 99. That's when Phantom Menace
So
came out.
I was like a teenager.
Right, yeah. Wow. See, I really don't care for the prequels, but I think that's because I feel like they just really convoluted the story for no reason. I mean, that's just kind of my take on it. Like, I didn't know why you needed to start it out with this Trade Federation like blockade thing, and it's all just
That
a
is
ploy
true.
for Palpatine to get into power with the droid army and all that. And it's like, come on.
So it
just
is,
stick-
that part of the story is,
you know, it's
very,
clunky. It's extremely clunky.
It sounds like something
and-
that got cut out of an NPR meeting for the top news stories that day. It's like very political heavy.
Yeah, and I mean, essentially, and if you want to go back to sort of essentially what you're talking about, like with enjoying a movie or having fun at a movie, to me, I don't necessarily view that as fun.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree with that.
right,
Those scenes are long.
Because these are movies that are supposed to be. I mean, they're marketed toward. I'd say for the most part, they're marketed toward kids, right? Or toward the younger set, right? But yet you're throwing in all this political stuff, and it's just like,
Yeah,
you know, kids
I
aren't
agree
going to
with
enjoy that.
I
you know?
completely agree with that. I was thinking specifically the arc of Anakin.
Yeah,
despite the acting of young Anakin, but
Hey,
just
that kid is now like in a mental institution or something. The kid that played young Anakin.
He's not in a
You know,
mental
that sounds like
institution.
No one
He
believes
was-
internet rumors
he was
faster
bullied
than
alive.
Well, he's like schizophrenic. I
What
just
is-
read deeply
What?
into this. He's
Fact check.
schizophrenic.
Where's
I know
Snopes?
he-
Let's
The
get
little
Snopes on
boy
this.
Anakin.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Jake
believe
Lloyd.
he's schizophrenic. We can fact check if we want. I don't know. I'm gonna fact check.
Are there even mental institutions still?
Unfortunately,
What do you call it?
Yeah,
now.
there are.
Like specifically, like
Involuntary
One Flew Over a
commitments,
Cuckoo's Nest?
It's in my Audible. Yes, unfortunately, there are some
Okay.
around.
Let's get back on track.
Yeah.
I agree. I was speaking specifically of the Anakin's kind of struggle and path from little kid prodigy to terrible monster. I found that more interesting than I remembered it. The political scenes are, I mean,
Well,
it's like, yeah, because like I'm watching with my daughter and I'm like,
you know,
and now he's going to use a special Senate rule to block the expansion. Isn't that exciting?
no,
No, it's not.
no.
See, to me, the prequels had a major issue with people not saying no to George Lucas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like George Lucas was like, "Oh yeah, I have all the Senate, and we're gonna talk about trade regulations," and everyone was like, "Oh, George, that's
that is
great."
great, wonderful, green
I get to
light.
work on a Star Wars movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. I feel like that's the problem with the Hobbit trilogy. It's like,
No, the problem with the Hobbit trilogy, and I will give Peter Jackson props for this, is he said that number one, he didn't want to do it in the first place.
Well, they waited too
Number
long.
two, they did not have time to actually plan. He said that they were pretty much, he described it as laying tracks on a railroad as the train is coming. So, I give props to people when they say, hey, this didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. I feel
it does feel like that.
yeah, but I feel like in Star Wars universe here, instead of saying like George saying like, "Oh, sorry, that was too complicated," it's like, well, you just don't get it. And the same with the new trilogy. It's like, well, these are supposed to be fun, and you're not supposed to think about it. And, like, but it's still a movie.
That's fair.
Okay, well, were there anything that either of you liked about the new movie?
The new movie.
The
Rise of
Skywalker.
I like the fact that it wasn't 3 hours long.
What did I
That
say?
was-
I liked when Ben Solo yelled "ow" when he.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Someone asked me what my favorite part of the movie was. I said when he yelled "ow," I thought that was kind of funny. That's all I had.
Man, so that much. You just despise every...
I didn't feel anything watching it.
I'll say my favorite part is of the film, and it's probably the only part that I felt like any type of like emotional resonance was whenever the I guess you can call it the memory or ghost of Han Solo showed up.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Even though I did feel
What's
like
the official... is that a memory?
Yeah, see, I don't. That's
Or
why I
is
was
it
like,
a
I don't
yeah,
know how you can.
there's
kind of
a problem
refer to
with that.
Right.
It was a good scene as far as like writing
Yeah,
and the
right.
conversation
I thought it
between
was-
them
oh, it was
in
nice.
universe. It
Yeah.
makes no sense why he would show up. It should have.
So it has to just be like a memory.
I think
Right.
if Carrie Fisher was alive, it would have been her showing up to him. That makes way more sense as far as Star Wars universe and the rules with
Okay.
Force ghosts and,
Yeah.
and things like
What
that.
do you guys think about the
Okay.
Force healing?
Like, why haven't they introduced this sooner?
Okay,
You
well,
know,
so
it's-
Palpatine talked
Well, it's
about
like the
that.
apex, though, of the four. Like it...
It is. It's like
It's-
the highest level, I
Yeah,
guess.
Josh Wilson, Jedi Master.
Yes, you can tell because I have robes
Yes.
on.
Have you learned Force healing yet?
No, I'm just saying, like, it it does make sense that it would, like, escalate. Like, the power of, like, they would get better and better and better.
Yeah.
Well,
the
is
life
it just a
force
Sith
thing,
thing
so-
too? Right? Because
No.
Palpatine tells Anakin about it in the prequels. Right? He's like,
Yeah.
I could even teach you how to save your wife or whatever. So, but then they introduce it. You see Baby Yoda doing it in The Mandalorian, and then
Yeah.
you see it in the new
I-
film. So it's something
I watched it in The
relatively new.
Mandalorian,
You should.
but it was
I-
talked
Great.
about in the prequels.
You haven't watched it?
I
Do it now.
Mandalorian?
Yeah, come on, man.
I'm
Dude.
behind on everything.
I've
I'm
seen the
behind
whole
on every
thing like
TV
3
show.
times.
I'm not caught up on
She said
Barry.
do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah, like the Emperor. Do it.
So I apologize.
Yeah. Well, I thought
I haven't seen any
the
of the
Force
Clone
healing,
Wars
like it
TV
could just
show
be a
either.
Sith or Palpatine thing.
I'm okay if it's a really strong.
But I mean, does it make any sense though? Because you got assisted living Palpatine in this movie where he can't even walk on his own or anything like that, right? He's not very powerful.
You
I
did
mean,
see like
in
he did
physical
steal
state.
some of their force energy or
Yeah,
whatever.
his
Yeah.
fingers
Fingers
came
grew
back.
Yeah, but it's just like
That was weird.
obviously he hadn't mastered that self-healing stuff. Or
Look, you know, every
maybe you
sing-
just can't do it
well,
to yourself. Maybe that's what it is. You know?
Well, yeah, because it takes out it. Like it,
Right.
it
Drains you.
takes
Yeah.
your force.
And then I guess you replenish it again.
Because spoilers. That's why the
I
Okay,
think
we
we've
should've
reached
said-
beyond the
I
point
would
where
put
we
it
even
in the
have to
title.
say
I'll
that
say
now.
spoilers in the title.
that's why the guy from Girls
Adam Driver.
dies at the end, right?
Yeah, he gave up his life for
because it comes
Yeah.
out of you into someone else.
No, I thought he died because she kissed him.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
mean,
that
that's
was.
how it
I thought that
looked.
was what happened.
I laughed
thought
out
she
loud
just-
and I said she
Yeah.
killed him. That's how it looked.
Yeah, I thought that they.
That was bad writing and bad editing.
What did you think about that whole ending scene with Kylo Ren and Rey? I thought it was cheese.
Which scene?
Jeez.
The whole ending scene where
Well,
where
number
he
one-
disappears and they're transferring the energy back and forth and he climbs up out of the pit and all
Number
that.
one, I can't believe they didn't give him any dialogue. You have Adam Driver. He's a great actor, and
He is so good.
he
is.
I think he's
carried
a good
this
actor.
trilogy on his
Very
back.
good actor.
He's
Cora
the
hates,
best part.
hates his acting. I think
Really?
he's a good actor. I will say this. When
I-
I saw Force Awakens and he took his mask off, I laughed because I,
laughed
was like,
too.
"You're the villain."
Yeah.
It was the hair. That's what made me laugh.
He was like a young Severus Snape. That's what he looked like.
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
what-
that and he's
That's
pale.
an idea for a series.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when he took the helmet off, I thought, well, here's a hot topic, kid. That's how that played for me.
That's hilarious. I got some Harry Potter playing cards over here.
I can't think of
Nice.
anything wrong Adam Driver's ever done, except
What all has he been
steal
in?
my wife's heart away.
What isn't he going to be in some rendition of Don Quixote or already
Yeah,
was?
that already came out.
Yeah, was it good?
I didn't see it.
I thought
I
they
didn't
never.
either,
I
but
thought
it's
they never
supposed to
finished
have
that
been
movie.
Really good.
Oh my, nice literary joke.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And silence.
Well, okay. So,
I don't know how to communicate silence on audio. I
You
mean,
say
communicate
crickets.
this face.
Yeah. At least we have two video feeds. I put this on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
Where did we get off
Yeah,
track?
so back to the scene between Ray and
we asked
Kylo
them
Ren
what
at
they
the end.
I asked them what they liked about.
I
the
loved
show.
that scene. That was another one of those moments where I was just like that Michael Jackson gif eating popcorn. Do we
When-
still reference
GIF.
Michael Jackson?
GIF.
Gift.
I don't know. What
I
do
was
you
just
think?
like-
When they,
I tried. I
When
took
they,
all
like
the
that
songs
fight scene
off
at the
the
end,
playlist.
he comes like cruising in. I need a hero, and they're like fighting and passing it back and forth. I'm just like,
I was so confused on why the Knights of Ren turned on him. I was like, isn't this like his college buddies? They never explained who they were, so
Yeah,
this is
I
like
know.
my
That's
head canon is like these are his bros.
I
But
bet
then
they
it's
do
like,
books
oh,
on
I guess
that.
they work
Yeah.
for the Emperor instead. Why are they fighting him? That would have been awesome if he rolled up in that fight with the
with
Knights
all
of
of
Ren
them,
behind him.
that would have been cool.
I would have been eating the Michael Jackson popcorn then. Instead, I was like, oh, well, okay. Seriously.
When he has like the lightsaber behind his back, he's like, "Did you see that?" Like, because at one point he does like the typical like somebody's attacking me from behind and I defend
That
it.
was to me that was the weirder force power than the healing, the grabbing objects from. It was like Accio lightsaber.
I like
When they're passing it back and forth,
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I felt like there was no explanation of like, well, we're doing this now. It was.
well,
to
when
me,
did it
odd.
start? It starts when he grabs something out of the
He grabs her necklace when she's at like
yeah.
whatever Galactic Coachella, whatever they were at, Burning Man.
That played more like Midsummer to me.
Yeah, it did feel like Midsummer. Sacrifice. When are they going to start?
That would have been an awesome left turn. It's like, I'm so glad you've come here to work on your dissertation, Ray.
I think I would have liked that conclusion better.
Would
Well,
have been
apparently
shorter.
they're doing a whole probably trilogy or a single movie spin-off about Ray's character.
I'm surprised Daisy Ridley would come back for this. Everyone seems over it to me.
Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do next. I like the connector movies they've been. I liked Rogue One.
Oh, I love
Rogue One was
Okay,
great.
have you been do you read any of the books?
No.
Okay, so I'm listening to Catalyst, which is it's the whole Galen Erso story.
Okay, cool.
Right? So it's
Yeah.
a prequel. Chris Hausnick, he came on and we talked about the new trilogy and Mandalorian and stuff. And he turned me on to that book. He's been reading it. So
Let me go back into when you mention about I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
What are the moments in the original trilogy where you feel something, like where you get like choked up a little bit or whatever that means specifically to feel something?
I mean,
Like have an emotional moment in
like,
the original
just
trilogy.
Star Wars: A New Hope. Luke staring off at the setting sun. Luke seeing his aunt and uncle burned and deciding to go on this journey. You know, you feel just like Han Solo's character introduction, and I'm not going off of the remastered where Greedo shoots first, but him shooting,
You have to bring that
him
up.
just blowing Greedo away, and you're like, oh my god, this guy's cool. I like Luke's training in general. I like Luke's character arc in the original trilogy. You know, Obi-Wan getting killed, Luke's reaction to it, Luke fighting the X-Wing, blowing up the Death Star, Han Solo coming in, saving the day. Like, there's so many emotions that come from this story. And Rise of Skywalker, everything just felt contrived. And, you know, I think this was a hard movie for them to write because there was no plan for this trilogy. So there's no setups and payoffs at all.
That is true. It doesn't feel like a trilogy as much as it feels like 3 different movies.
It's
sort of
like if you were
loosely
building a
connected.
house and you start it and then you hired someone else to finish it and they undid parts of the house that you liked and added their own stuff, and you came back to finish it and you didn't like what they added, so you're taking stuff off and then putting it on.
So with the 2 different directors, I thought was
Well,
What's the cause of that?
Ryan
What-
Johnson and back to
I've
J.J.
seen some
I
of that, but I
actually-
never understood how that happened.
It's all like Disney and Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, they said they were going to get 3 different directors, but when Ryan Johnson got so much criticism on Last Jedi that they went back to J.J. Abrams.
Well, they just let Ryan Johnson do whatever he wanted.
A lot of these names I'm not.
Ryan Johnson's the
He
director of The
directed the
Last
second
Jedi.
one. But apparently, so you know, in the new film where Rey throws the lightsaber and
Yeah.
then like he grabs it, Luke's Force Ghost grabs it and it's like, you should never treat a Jedi weapon that way. But in the Ryan Johnson Last Jedi, she's like, hey, I've traveled all across the galaxy
Right.
and here's your lightsaber. Will you train me? And he's just like, thwomp, throws it over the cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like there's a lot of that goes on. Like, every movie, honestly.
So is that not like a joke?
Well, I didn't know. I thought it was like, I'm like, was he making a dig because everybody was critical?
I can never read Mark Hamill's acting, honestly.
Yeah. Well, here's something else. Like, I feel like Rogue One, it's like they honestly are maybe to a point of making movies to explain away people's criticisms about any of the films. Because, like, oh, out of the Death Star, there was just a one little hole that you could shoot into and then just blow it all up and that's it. And it's like, oh yeah, you want to talk shit about that? It's like,
That's why I didn't go down that road.
We got Galen Erso over here, and he's been doing this technology, and then so it's like they honestly, like, the movies are kind of explaining away some of the criticisms.
Well, that's why Rogue One is good. It improved. It made the originals look better.
It did. It bridges too.
Yeah, it fixed that kind of plot hole with the Death Star. It also made the Empire look intimidating.
But when first time you watched, if you can remember that far.
I remember everything.
Okay. That's not a power I have. And maybe that's why I don't. That's maybe why I
You
love these
haven't
movies.
mastered the Jedi power of remembering everything.
All things. So, but the first time you saw the Death Star explode, were you thinking, well, why would the Emperor even give away the real plans for a trap? Like, why wouldn't they send fake plans of the Death Star to lure?
I will say, like, someone being like, why is there one tiny hole in the Death Star? Like, that is a nitpick.
Okay. No,
But saying, like,
hey,
how did the Emperor raise thousands of Imperial Star Destroyers out of the ground?
With crew.
Where'd this crew come from? To me, that's not a nitpick. This is just like, where is the logic here? How could this happen? There has to be some logic. I don't care if it's a fantasy or sci-fi. You always have to have some logic to your storytelling.
I don't understand the logic of the Force in general. It's like sometimes.
Well,
Says-
what is it?
says
If
the
your
guy with the robe.
midichlorian count is
Okay, it's very
160 or above,
The highest midichlorians. I mean, look at yourself. You got midichlorians.
I got midichlorians for days.
Okay, so that's actually something
But
that
they're
I guess, only appears in
synthetic.
one movie, right? They only mention the midichlorians in episode 1, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel like that was a theme from the prequel.
Yeah, that was a prequel
That's a George
deal.
Lucas tried to make the Force scientific thing.
And that's what I'm saying.
People are
the
critical.
more you try to like make it logic, have like a every single moving piece interlocking perfectly, the less fun it gets. Like I guess my tolerance for that is just so low, because like every movie, every book has logical inconsistencies.
Yeah. But when you have so many that I'm like, well, how's the Emperor back? I saw him get thrown down a hole, being electrocuted.
How's
and
Darth Maul back, too? Like, same
Yeah,
thing. He got
that was-
chopped in half.
that
and
was
stuff.
Solo,
Well,
right?
at
That
least
he
he was. Well,
popped
it
back
shows
up,
up. He
yeah.
shows up in the cartoons as well.
Okay, yeah.
In the chronology of what I've seen, because I was questioning whether or not, like, where in the timeline Solo was.
Yeah.
But apparently it's after episode 1.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he has a robot legs. I don't know.
He has robot legs.
Very
yeah.
risky operation.
At least he was only cut in half. I mean, Palpatine. If you watch Return of the Jedi, the way that Death Star gets blown up, it's like there's no way. There's no way they would even have this wreckage to climb around in. But there's no way he would survive this.
Okay, so what do you think about this? Like, my whole criticism, the biggest one I have is like, why couldn't they come up with a new bad guy?
Yeah,
It
I
made
agree.
sense him being the bad guy in the prequels to like explain more of his like origins or
Yeah.
like, you know, or like, hey, here's how he became who we know. Again, explaining like, oh yes, that's how he got to this imperial, you know, the emperor position. But it's like for 11 films and all the series and every piece of Star Wars content put out, he is the villain.
Right.
He's the
Yeah.
ultimate guy. So that is one thing I was like, everybody is so fascinated by that Snoke. You know, like,
Well, they created such mystery around him.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, what even is he, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
He's
like-
wearing his gold lame robe.
he has
Who is
some,
this
he
guy?
has some sick outfits. But I wanted like, and then too, this is my other criticism in the same vein. It's like, okay, so Rey's a Palpatine, cool, right? I guess like since we're gonna have the same bad guy, that's a cool connection. But I felt like there was some serious holes there too.
Well, there's no setup.
yeah, like who are her
And
parents?
then they try to act like, oh, well, we had this plan the whole time.
Like,
No,
was
you
her,
didn't.
Was her dad a part of the resistance? Like, I felt like that was a big question of
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
trilogy. Like, who are her parents? What did they do? Where did they come from? Why did they leave her on Jakku? And that was not satisfactorily answered.
You know,
to me.
I was actually fine with them being nobodies from what The Last Jedi
Really?
established. I was like, and that whole theme of that movie is like anybody can become somebody. I was like, that's kind of a powerful theme. At least this movie has a theme. But then the new one, they're like, oh no, well, her grandfather's Palpatine, and her parents were trying to protect her, and like,
Josh.
Okay, so we're talking about Rey's parents.
Rey's parents, her
Yeah.
connection to Palpatine, Palpatine being the bad guy of the whole franchise. That's in a nutshell.
Okay, so is she actually a Palpatine?
She is
Yeah.
Did you
Palpatine's
watch the
granddaughter.
movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Or no? Okay, wait. What does she say at the end?
oh, she's
she
like,
says
I'm
she's a
Rey.
Skywalker.
Yeah,
Rey
that's
Skywalker.
where
So she
Rise of
just, like,
Skywalker
decides-
becomes identity
Which-
theft of
yeah,
Skywalker.
identity
She's
theft.
just kind of just.
To me, it's more powerful, you know, since they had it earlier in the movie where she's like, I'm just Rey. It's more powerful if she would have been like, I'm just Rey. Like, she's confident in who she is
just
now.
who she is.
Yeah, without having to steal someone's family name and then wreck everyone's, like, what is it, 23andMe later on.
But she inherited that sweet pad on Tatooine, right?
Yeah, the burned out.
Yeah, like as soon as I saw it, I was
Moisture
like,
farm.
that's where Uncle Owen got burned to death. Like in Aunt Peru, both.
Yeah. I went and saw it with my mom, and she was like, wait, aren't there skeletons somewhere around there?
So one thing I've been recollecting.
I love your mom's Facebook feed so much.
Oh, gosh.
I've been
Yeah,
recollecting.
it's interesting.
I have like 5 friends, and they're like, the only reason I stay on Facebook is because their parents. It's just are so genuine on Facebook. I don't know, like anyway, I'm way off topic.
No.
It's all good.
That's another podcast topic.
But
Parents
like the
Facebook.
Yes.
skeletons are like you mentioned them earlier, but I remember having this Star Wars Micro Machine Death Star that opened up into Tatooine, and it had this
Oh.
little thing like you could touch it, and, like,
Wait,
and it would
hold
like
on.
turn over.
The Death Star does not open up into Tatooine.
The
Sure it does,
micro
dude.
machine.
That is not
Micro Machine Death
canon.
Star. Okay, it might not. It's EU, expanded universe.
Well, that's Legends now.
Yeah. See, hey, I got.
That's not
You
the
guys remember
European Star
Shadows of the
Wars?
Empire?
Yes.
I've been collecting. I read the book.
Yeah,
recently, too.
they had a wasn't there a video game? Wasn't there like a
Yeah, for
Nintendo 64
N64.
game? Yeah.
It was the only like it was the only
yeah.
thing like that got an action figure line, Micro Machines. It had everything.
What
Yeah.
then?
Shadows of the Empire. It's what happens from the moment Han Solo is frozen in carbonite until Luke records the message about, I'm going to give you these droids to Jabba's palace. Like it's the intermediary between Bespin and Tatooine from Jedi, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pretty cool story. It's like, if you wanted to read it, it's 3 hours. It's on Audible.
Okay.
Or listen
Probably
to
should
it,
have
whatever.
adapted that instead of.
I know, right? Like, so, well, okay, so they're going to be able to do that. I suspect that they might.
They
right?
should.
Okay, so what do you guys think about this? Like, on Rogue One, you had Tarkin and Leia CGI.
Yeah. We had different opinions about that. I didn't mind it. The CGI could have been better for sure. You're always gonna have uncanny valley whenever you have a full CGI person and they're talking.
That's wild. That's some deep fake.
But I had friends that were like, I can't believe that guy was still alive. I'm like,
Yeah, he's only
dead,
130
man.
years old. That's what, you know.
So, but I did appreciate it once from a story point of view because you have to have Tarkin if you're going to do stuff with the Death Star. I thought Leia looked worse than he did. But once again, it's a nice bridge to the next movie. So I'll give him a pass on that, even though I don't
It
think
is a
the
major
CGI is-
curveball to have like the death of Princess Leia, the actor.
They chose the wrong character to continue,
Yeah.
and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy is when Carrie Fisher died, they had the chance to. And like
To give her a nice
yeah.
ending?
Yeah, in the second movie, I felt like in the new trilogy. But
Yeah.
then
She
they
should,
brought
yeah. The character should have died in the second
I-
movie
I-
instead
yeah,
of flying through
right, I agree.
space.
Okay, speaking of bathroom breaks, I was
what is this?
actually
That's her hand in the
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
just tying this all together.
Yeah, flying.
Speaking of bathroom breaks and children in Star Wars, I had to take my 4-year-old son to the bathroom. He had been potty training. He wouldn't potty train. Finally, at that moment in the movie, he's like, I need to go to the bathroom. And I was like, oh. So I had to get up and take him out. And I didn't see that
You
scene
didn't see her flying?
the first time.
the first time.
And so I didn't understand all the outrage about it. I was like, how bad
there
could
was
it be?
there was legitimate laughter in the theater when it happened. So that was
Well, not only should she have died in space, she should have died from the explosion.
Apparently,
I was like, well, she's
I thought
gone.
people froze to death in space. And stuff.
yeah,
I don't
right.
know.
Not if you have the Force.
You remember-
And not if you have
they-
4,000 midichlorians, Brian.
Well, see, what's crazy
Okay.
too is everybody can, I guess, like worship the Force or whatever. Because there's a whole lot of non-Force
Well-
sensitive people that in Star Wars that say, "May the Force be with you."
And also
Right.
with you. So this does bring up something I will admit about something I don't like about the new set of movies
Okay.
is the reverence for Leia. Whereas in like, I feel like she's like such a tough person. Like, oh yeah, well, she's like, freewheeling. She's like so much fun. She's like all over the place, doing whatever she wants.
She's on a lot of drugs, man.
And then by the end of it, she's like a priest where she's like, yes, everything I say is so important and serious. And I didn't like that.
I think you're just threatened by women in power.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No, I felt like she had more power in the original because she was like doing whatever she wanted. And now it's like
choking Jabba to death.
I think I think I'm gonna have to be careful of how I say this, but I think the amount of power they gave some of the female characters in the new trilogy is absolutely ridiculous. Rey's the most powerful Force user we ever seen. Yeah, Leia can do no wrong, and then when they brought in Holdo, it was like, oh well, Poe should have listened to her, even though she should have told him the plan. I think they don't know how to write female characters. I think that's a problem with it.
I think we agree, though I'm hesitant to comment on anything.
That's why I can say this.
We'll do a follow-up podcast on gender roles in Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved Princess Leia in the original trilogy. I love her character. Here, I think they straight up didn't know what to do with her.
Yeah.
And so it was like...
So like the kind of like grandma version of her felt odd.
Well, I felt like instead of saying, what would Princess Leia do? It's like, what do we need her to do?
I can agree with that.
We need her to give orders. We need her to treat Poe like crap. We need her to now retconned into she was a Jedi and now she can train Rey.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What do you guys think about Carrie Fisher's death?
I don't know anything about it.
What do you mean? I thought it was sad.
Yeah,
it
was
is sad.
unfortunate.
That was sad, but her toxicology report is off the charts.
Right.
Yeah.
She had
Well,
opiates, heroin, and cocaine, and died on an airplane because she was too high.
Man, that's the American way to go, right there.
The thing I've always liked about Carrie Fisher is that she was so upfront about her struggles with addiction.
She did.
Yeah.
Even though that's the way that she ended up going, I appreciate that she was honest that it was a struggle.
I read
think,
into that.
Yeah, to me, like even though I don't agree with some of her lifestyle and living that way, I do appreciate the honesty and just being open. I think she seemed like a really cool person.
Yeah, she was trying to
I
treat a
agree.
mental illness, perhaps.
I agree with that about her as a person, and also as her I just felt like her character was so static in the new movies.
Yeah, well, once again, she's there to do what the story needs her to do.
And I feel like it was like every time she came on screen, it was like, it's Leia.
Well, that's a lot of the movie is like, hey, remember Princess Leia?
Yeah.
Hey, remember Julie?
And so I feel like they made her into the version of what people falsely remember about the original movies. Does that make sense?
Yeah, maybe, but I'm like, this isn't my Princess Leia. That's not how I remember her.
Yeah, me neither.
Not my Princess
Not my Emperor Palpatine. Even though it's the same actor for all the movies. I felt like if they're going to bring Palpatine back, they should have showed him more. Like I couldn't tell if that was Ian McDermott. I had to look it up.
No, it was.
Like,
right.
Yeah,
is he still alive? And
that's bad. I'm like, yeah, it was. Right?
Right?
You know, it's like,
yeah, well, I thought it was, but I was like, well, I thought they would have brought out that like he has a very definitive voice and stuff like that.
do it.
I laughed out loud.
He is like he's got it. I think he's like pushing 80 years old now.
Yeah.
I looked it up. In between
I was
scenes.
thinking like he must be an amazing person to work with because they keep bringing him back.
Yeah,
Like,
for real.
what do we do? Just bring him back.
We can't let him go. What's he gonna?
So
Let's
loyal.
just hook him up to some galactic IV needles, and then he can walk around.
We'll have a little snow.
I
tank
actually thought that was
over there.
really cool looking. The way he was like
Suspended.
I thought he was gonna start doing Cirque du Soleil acrobatics.
Oh man, has anybody been to that show?
I went and saw the Beatles Love Show.
I didn't see I saw the one.
I've been to Vegas several times. I've seen it. Like we just never went to one.
We saw it accidentally in Florida.
How does
do
that
you do
happen?
that?
We were like in between. We were on vacation and we had like one thing to do and then another thing to do, and we were kind of like walking around. Came up on this giant tent-looking place. I don't even know. We're like, what is this? And it's like, I think it's kind of like a circus. We had no idea. We went in, blank slate, no expectations.
Oh my gosh.
And we were like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
It sounds like you just described like a sitcom. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, hey, there's just this tin out here. What's this? Yeah.
Oh, speaking
That's
of
not
Seinfeld
real.
episodes, this is so far off topic.
No, that's Seinfeld.
Should I just skip? All right, just skip ahead because it's not. I lived a Seinfeld episode the other day. We went to the theater. It was raining. For some reason, the parking garage was closed, so everyone was having to like park off and walk up, and then stand in the rain to get through security. And this is like the stage play theater, not the movie theater. But so everyone's standing in line. I wait through the line, get about to the door. This guy comes up and says, "Hey, can I go ahead and get through? Can I go ahead and jump in? My daughter and my family's in there." And I was like, "Yeah, man, me too." Like everyone did the same thing you did. We dropped our family off and went and parked. And he's like, he turned to the people behind me, and they were kind of like, "Yeah," like, you know. So then he goes to like go through anyway. And instinctively, I just boxed him out. I like took 2 steps over, and I was like, "I don't know what to tell you, man. This is a line." So he's like, well, he kind of like tried to laugh it off. He's like, I guess I'll kind of wait till somebody doesn't have a family in there they're waiting on or what. I don't know. So I go through, I'm rushing, get to my seat. There's 4 empty seats beside us. Guess who comes and sits down beside us?
Oh,
Nice.
no.
That guy with his family.
That guy.
But first I had told the story very loudly to my wife. So like everyone around me heard me tell the story of the guy trying to cut line. And then he comes and sits down, and I was like, "Hey, I guess you made it." So it wasn't a real Seinfeld episode because we didn't shout at each other or anything. But
Was there tension? Did you become friends?
no, I just made this face at him that will translate well into audio.
And cue baseline.
Okay, back to Star Wars. You can edit that part
Star
out.
Wars.
Okay.
What do we think is the future of Star Wars?
That's an interesting question.
We got
They're
the
doing a season
Mandalorian.
Because now we're up to 11 movies.
11 movies. They're
People
the
only
new
like
cartoon.
4 of them.
Yeah, that's about right.
So this is a confusing point for me.
Yeah.
Like, at what point will you continue to call yourself a Star Wars fan?
I'm a Star Wars fan. I love the original trilogy. I like Rogue One. I like The Mandalorian.
Do you like some of the expanded? Have you read any of the books?
I read what is it called?
Thrawn?
Yeah, I started
got that-
reading
I
the
got that
Thrawn
in Call of Duty,
trilogy. I like the first book. I'm going to finish the trilogy.
Yeah, that's on my list. Thrawn.
Yeah, it's Heir to the Empire, I think. It's the first book.
Okay.
So, like, for example, I don't call myself a fan of The Office.
Because you only like a few seasons? Or?
Right.
Yeah. I'm the same, but I don't know. Maybe I just like asterisks, but only seasons 1 through 4 or whatever.
Right. I don't remember exactly when I stopped watching it, but it was when
Michael Scott Paper Company.
Yeah, that's probably the thing.
I think it
The
was
show-
when Michael drove his car into a pond.
Oh, I like that one. That's a funny episode.
That's pretty early on,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I don't know.
That may have been
When
like
the
4, 3 or
GPS
4.
messes up or whatever.
The
Maybe that
Office-
wasn't when I officially quit watching, but that's when in my heart I went, this is no longer, like, how dumb
Yeah, that's
is
when
a person that can also run a company.
that's when they were delivering the gift baskets. Wasn't that what was going on? They were trying to get like customers back
So-
or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, when people bring up The Office, I'm like, it's okay. It's fine. I don't love it. So now
Peaked
that
at
we're
season
into
2.
like 20% of the French, 30% that you like, like how much do you get to, like, how much longer will you continue to feel that you're a Star Wars fan?
If we didn't have the Mandalorian going, then
That is a
maybe
lot
I
of
would
hours.
jump
So good.
ship. But I like it, so yeah, I'll continue. I don't
like
think you
their
have to like
approach with
everything.
that. Like all of the connecting stories, whether it's the cartoon Rebels or Clone Wars, or whether it's Rogue One, or whether it's Mandalorian,
And
we can kind of just pick and choose.
The endorsement posters at Lowe's for washing machines.
They have Star Wars on them.
Tho- Those are,
Are you
canon,
a fan
right?
of that? That's
Those are
canon.
canon.
Oh man. Yeah, but so I guess you can pick and choose, but it's like, is there a percentile on what you like and don't like, or like, oh, I like the original trilogy and the stuff that's like it, like Rogue One? Because that's another thing, is that a critique, is that they're trying to there's a big movement, I feel like, to make things like the original trilogy now. Oh, we got to recapture. Not too much CGI now. Remember that people complained about that. And
Give Chewie a medal, even though this makes no sense in this movie. But give him a medal. People want him to get a medal.
Yeah.
Make Kylo Ren and Rey kiss because there's some shippers out there. Yeah, I think if they
somewhat
shippers.
Yeah, like
you know, if you
relationship
ship
on
someone
people,
together.
right?
Oh, okay.
Online.
Okay, so I feel like that. Yes, I feel like the movement to conserve the original trilogy doesn't lead to good things.
Yeah.
That's like I didn't like The Last Jedi, but that whole idea of like let the past die, kill it if you have to. I was like, oh, we might be moving on to new things, and then they just forgot all that. And
page turners, they were not. Like, dude, when Yoda says that, I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like, the books are gonna burn. Oh my! They weren't
the
really
ancient Jedi text.
Okay, can we talk about that? The original series is. Or do we agree that the original 3 is a lot more jokey?
Like, what do you mean by original 3?
The
Originally
originally released.
Okay, so we're talking.
A New Hope.
Okay,
So like, there's a
continue.
lot more jokes. It's kind of like lighter overall than like serious at parts.
I feel like what you're saying with Kylo Ren. Like, I feel like that's something that they try and do. Like, there's like, or Poe Dameron's character. Remember, he's like General Hugs.
Oh God.
Yeah,
I did not find
okay,
that
not. But I felt like there were times where they were even trying to recreate what you're talking about. You know, throughout the new trilogy.
I wouldn't say the original trilogy is that jokey.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's an adventure. But they, there's a few crack jokes here and there, but it's not like Marvel. I mean, Marvel movies are jokey. Someone always has a quip in those. And I feel like the new Star Wars trilogy is trying to be like Marvel with having these jokes, and it just does not seem to fly in this universe.
I didn't think of it as an attempt to copy Marvel, I saw it as the tone of the prequels is so serious, like so serious that they were trying to like.
But then you got
kids
in the end, like cap it off.
Yeah, the younglings,
The younglings.
right? Yeah. Well, but maybe that's part of the reason why the prequels kind of don't work is because you do have this ultra serious stuff, but then you have goofy stuff like Jar Jar Binks, right?
That's how I always felt. Jar Jar felt was like, wow, these movies are kind of serious. Can we get like a comedian in?
Yeah, and
let's get a comedian in.
It doesn't mesh very well. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
it's kind of it's contradictory in points. It's like which audience. Who are you trying to necessarily attract here? I mean, they're trying to bring everybody in that they can, so they're appealing to adults with more serious stuff, but with the kids with the other stuff. So you just save yourself with your force powers.
I don't know what just happened. I like leaned forward in the chair.
But I mean, that's my take on that.
Okay, so I feel the same way that you can't like play to the audience as far as like pander to the original trilogy,
Yeah.
or like preserve the original trilogy. But I also feel like as an audience, we can't create that expectation by like demanding that the original trilogy is infallible and that like across 12 movies everything's gonna be perfect and like everything's gonna be seamless.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could say that. I mean, like I'm not gonna argue that there aren't inconsistencies or even infallibilities with the original parts of the trilogy. I just think that the story is more straightforward. It's more together. It just to me it just flows better. It makes more sense.
Yeah. Why does like context? For
Right.
me? It's like the context changes with each time a new trilogy is introduced, and then you start trying to like look at it in a large. Like that was one thing when I saw Rise of Skywalker the second time. I was like, I saw how it fit in contextually to like the whole franchise differently. So like I moved my original review up 1 point. Like I was like, okay, it's better. I got this, saw that, picked up a few more things. But like think about this, each time we've seen a new one past the original trilogy, the context of the story,
right,
and how we view really the new or the original trilogy rather could have changed just on the basis of context. Like, oh, that's what.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I feel like context and expectations going in, then it becomes a cycle of, well, here's a list of things that all the fans didn't like. Let's try to fix it. But then every time you do that, it like splinters off into like a hydra of expectations. And so now we solved some of these problems, but some of that was kind of clunky. It would have been better off just to leave it. And now we have a whole new realm of disbelief to suspend. And so now we have a bunch more angry fans. So now it's like...
And they should have reframed it instead of being like, here's what the fans don't like. It should be like, here's what doesn't work in this story. Rey is overpowered by film 1. How is she going to grow anymore? We don't have a main villain because we're going to kill him second movie. This all could have been fixed if they had a plan from the start. And they didn't. And even if they say they did, I don't believe them.
I don't know what they say or what I do. I would never argue that the series is perfectly planned. I definitely agree that I don't know why they didn't plan it out beginning to end. I guess what I'm saying is sitting in the theater watching it, it doesn't bother me that. Like I just don't think about all that much. So I know that's a lazy argument to just say like, oh, I just watch Third Rock from the Sun. It's so funny. I don't think about shows or I don't know why I picked that show.
Because Joseph Gordon-Levitt was great in it.
Yeah.
I think what I was actually thinking of was...
You're thinking Big Bang Theory?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, because I'm not saying like just watch mindless entertainment, don't think about it. I'm just saying like for me as I sit in the theater, I just enjoyed it. Like I just had fun watching it.
Well, I'll get on my soapbox here. And if we continue having that approach of like, I enjoy this. It's Star Wars. I love Star Wars. They're going to keep spitting out these mediocre films. And we're just going to keep getting this and we're going to keep talking about it. I feel like until we're like, no, I want a better movie. I want a better trilogy. I want something more like Rogue One or The Mandalorian. Then it's going to keep... I mean, Disney's in it for the money. Let's be honest. They
they need to let Favreau direct the next trilogy.
They need to have...
Because he's doing Mandalorian, and he did Clone Wars.
The
cartoon.
Yeah, he had some involvement, but the main guy from Clone Wars is Dave Filoni.
Okay,
and he
somebody was telling me about him.
He does The Mandalorian with Favreau. I would put both of them in charge. That's why Marvel's good. They have a guy, Kevin Feige, who oversees everything. And, they have different directors and different writers for their movies, but they still have a cohesive story because Kevin Feige comes in and tells them the direction that they want to go in. Here, I feel like Kathleen Kennedy is just like, oh, Rian Johnson, we love you. Go and write a movie and destroy what was set up in the previous movie. That sounds great. Like, I think she's just looking at it as from a money point of view instead of as a Star Wars fan. And I think Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have proven that they are Star Wars fans just by watching interviews with them. They seem to know what they're doing and talking about. So give them, like, if you're going to do another trilogy, give them the new trilogy.
I would like to see what Favreau could do with his own movie or his own trilogy. I think he can knock it. Because Mandalorian is so good. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Well, I know I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Do you need a shared password? What's holding you up here?
What?
Do you need a shared password? What's holding you up from watching this show?
Oh,
they're really short
it's
episodes.
It's the worst
40
excuse. I just haven't had time to watch it.
Yeah. It takes, 6 years after Return of the Jedi? Is when it takes place?
I don't
like that.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact date. Part of the reason why I like The Mandalorian too is because it's, in a way, even though it is connected to the overall Star Wars universe, is that I feel like it stands well alone on its own.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed. And, yeah, that's part of the appeal, I think, of The Mandalorian.
I would like to see more similar things like that telling other stories.
And they fit the fan service moments into the story. It's not just out of nowhere that you're like, oh, well, here, remember this person? It's like actually fits into what they're trying, the story
right,
they're
it doesn't
trying to
necessarily
tell.
feel forced or whatever. It's just kind of forced. It doesn't feel forced. That's
So here's my main conflict is, I don't even know if I can hold all these thoughts in my head at the same time long enough to say them. We have the idea that we shouldn't pander to the original trilogy, but we also have the idea simultaneously that there's incontinuity with the original trilogy. So that feels to me like conflicting.
It's chaotic. Because, but I think we're like talking about all the reasons it is chaotic. Because see, they tried to do this, and then there's this. It's like there's layers of the pandering.
So where I'm just saying, like, I don't know for sure if in the original trilogy, Leia could have just forced past those secret plans over to someone and saved a lot of trouble. But I know that was really fun and cool when they did it with the lightsaber. So, like, I'm fine that it doesn't match the original trilogy 100% line up perfectly, because I'm not concerned so much about continuity over 12 movies in 50 years.
Yeah, that's my dog outside there. Sorry.
I don't think anyone heard that.
Laying in front of the door.
So anyway, that's where I think that gets closer to what I've been trying to say.
I'm not sure I get your point.
Yeah, I believe you.
You're always going to have some issues with continuity when you start expanding the universe.
It's like impossible. It's chaos to do all of what we're talking about.
Right.
But that's why, once again, you need someone who's in charge, whose job it is to be like, oh, well, yeah, if we do this...
Yeah, what works and what doesn't
does this kind
work.
of retcon something from a previous film, or does this make the previous film look like they were stupid?
Well, and should
for
that
not doing
person
this?
be George Lucas? Because
well,
the people are
the what he
talking
did with
about
the
how
prequels, I would say no.
he might be oversight on what comes next. Like, more so than he has been previously.
Would he be able? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I go back and forth with that, because when he was the main person for the original trilogy, that worked out great.
But did he have more?
No.
Do you have more people?
As long as he has
more
people,
opposing voices for the original
as long
trilogy?
as he has people that will work with him and take his vision and make it into something great. I think
he has to be challenged. That's what it is. There has to be some
Because even if you look back at the original Star Wars, like his former wife was the one who edited it together, and most people think that the way she edited the film is what made it good. Like, it was a mess.
Music.
Yeah, the music. There's so many things going into this. So as long as people can tell Lucas no on some things, then it may work. But I don't know.
Okay, so what do you guys think about my critique about the Emperor being the only bad villain? Pulling all the strings, essentially. Like, there could have been a Plagueis or somebody above, like a rung above the ladder or something.
Yeah.
But see, wouldn't that be dismissed as escalationism?
Is that a word?
It is now.
Okay.
Escalationism.
Whereas, like, Rey, a few people on the internet that speak for all Star Wars fans, apparently. People don't like Rey because her power escalates and escalates and escalates to a supposedly unbelievable level.
Escalates. It started like that from the beginning.
Yeah, she, without
She's
ever
very,
touching a
very
lightsaber, she
like
beat
schooled
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, I don't think ever wins a fight in any of the movies.
Poor guy. And
I felt
he's
bad for him.
And when he
So
took his
sad all the
mask off,
time.
I wasn't intimidating. I wasn't intimidated by him. So.
Yeah, I was just like, man, that's some cool hair. It's
And
like, I was like, what conditioner
I
is
did
he
like
using?
his mask
Yeah.
and his like voice thing.
Yeah.
The voice thing was cool.
I like that. But I also, well, and I get it. I like that he was like trying to like draw from and emulate Vader in a way.
Yeah.
Like that part. Like, remember once, like when like the spoiler, but like the mask of Vader is like smoking.
Yeah.
Like that was cool.
Is Vader's mask that big in the original? The size of that always looks weird in the new
Well,
movies.
maybe it was from the heat.
Right.
From the funeral.
looks like a
funeral
Spaceballs
pyre.
helmet.
Yeah.
Dark helmet?
Dark helmet.
Yeah. I don't know why.
I thought it
'Cause,
looked fine.
maybe that's just my imagination. I don't know. Every time I saw it, I was like, it looks so big.
Yeah, maybe it just kind of melted out, like heat expansion from the funeral pyre thing. Maybe that's what happened.
All right. So what did I get us off track from?
We're talking about
okay.
the villain.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
So if there was another tier of supervillain, people would just be like, "Oh, well, of course
it's
there's
the
a more
Sith
powerful.
again, or
Of course, there's a more powerful level. It's never ending. Like,
It would have been
is-
kind of neat if they'd brought Snoke back with metal legs. That would have been.
I mean, he got cut in half.
yeah.
So,
So hey, if Darth Maul's doing it, then
he needs
yeah.
to get hooked up with Darth Maul's plastic surgeon.
yeah. I wonder what kind of medical
License.
Yeah.
What is the medical licensing like?
Well,
in
like
the
what
Star
kind of
Wars
insurance do you
universe?
get as a Sith? Like as a Sith Lord? I mean, like what's covered, what's not covered? Apparently, they got good coverage. Yeah.
there needs to be a tie-in where we find out that Darth Maul's makeup is actually done by Jeffree Star.
What? Jeffrey Star Wars.
We solved it.
The Jeffrey Star
We
Wars
solved
universe. I think they should build. This is my future of Star Wars. They should build around the undercover boss skit from SNL.
Oh, with Kylo Ren. Yeah. Yeah.
To me, that's the best thing to come out of the new trilogy, and I would watch anything related to that.
it's funny.
Matt, the radar technician.
What do you think about? This was my other major critique outside of the Palpatine. It's the same weapon. Oh, we're gonna destroy your planets.
Oh,
This
okay.
weapon,
Oh, gosh.
it's on a
So
Starship Destroyer and a planet.
We
Now
go
it's
from Death Star to Star Killer Base, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a Star Killer Base to Death.
and
Death
now
Star cannon.
we've harnessed the power enough where we're able to
And
mount
here's
them
the
on
guy,
every-
Galen Erso. It's like they've explained that whole past history and arc and everything.
Right.
But I'm like, that's something else I would like to have seen, like a new threat, not just a new villain. Like, oh, so it's on a destroyer now, and it's on, like, you have it as on a planet as a base that kills other planets. But it was the same Death Star technology.
Yeah, and this is a probably a minor critique here, but yet we can mount all this technology onto these Star Destroyers. Yet we only have like 2 communication things.
Power things,
Yeah,
yeah.
power things in between the. It's like.
They
just saying.
spent all that time putting those
Engineering.
cannons on the ship. They forgot about the communication
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah, there was some.
Unless there was like another Galen Erso, type who's like, okay, well, I'm putting this in here on purpose so they can come in and destroy it at some point,
Well, and since they have explained away many of our criticisms, could you not also make the argument as like, oh, well, there's so many things we don't know.
What?
You know
See,
what
that
I'm
to me
saying?
that
Like,
sounds kind of lazy. but-
They haven't, we haven't read this book because, I remember when Ryan Johnson was coming out with things, and it wasn't the old canon stuff, but somebody was talking major smack about some part of the movie from Last Jedi. I don't remember what it was, but he went and got the book, and he's like, see where I got this from, this book that was accepted as now canon. So I was like, well,
When you're making a movie, like even a sequel to a film, you have to explain things as though no one's ever watched the movie coming before.
Right? Yeah. See, that's
Yeah,
that
you
is
can't be like, oh, well, you should have read however many novels make up the expanded universe.
And I think in a way that's kind of what snake bites some of the other films, right? Is because when you're talking about context and all that, right? Is that they get so bogged down in these little the minutia, the little details and stuff, that it has the tendency to derail sort of a straightforward narrative. Unlike, say, if you saw the first Star Wars film, which is, you could just take it on its own as its own movie, or even like I was talking about with the Mandalorian series, it stands sort of alone in its own sort of way.
yeah, true that. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe that could be an approach, is just write a whole bunch of standalone stuff and only give one little jewel of connection.
It's it's kind of similar to, what was it? They did the Palpatine's radio broadcast through Fortnite. And I was like, how was I supposed to
Wait, what?
Yeah,
You know, when
I
the
didn't know about
opening
this either.
crawls, like the dead speak, and it talks about basically he's been podcasting, I guess. But they actually did a broadcast through Fortnite, and I was like, I found out later on. So I guess beforehand, people had heard what his actual radio broadcast was. But I'm like, that's a weird
I have no idea. Yeah.
thing to
But-
do here.
That's what I'm saying is I could never keep up with all that, all the continuity. So I'm just going to go in and watch each movie as it comes out.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm talking about like, oh, well, this is in this book, and they have to make the movies where just normal people going
Yeah,
to the
it's
theater
right,
are going
accessible.
to. Yeah,
It's
I mean,
accessible.
to
Right.
go into one of the greatest trilogies of all time, the Dark Knight trilogy. They did so much viral marketing before the Dark Knight came out. I mean, there was stuff where you
I
had
remember that.
coordinates, and you would go to a place and actually get a cell phone, and then it would take you to different locations, like a scavenger hunt across the world, which led up to like Harvey Dent being elected as district attorney, and all. I actually got to vote as a Gotham citizen. You don't need to have all this to watch the film, and I feel like Star Wars is doing stuff where it's like, oh, well, you've never read in this book, or you didn't listen to or play Fortnite. How do you?
Well, see, that's how I feel.
I feel behind
when people tell me.
so much.
That's how I feel when people tell me I shouldn't like the new ones. Because they're always like, well, you must not understand the Star Wars universe if you think that is. If you think that's
me, that's-
legitimate.
See,
That's not the right argument. They're just not good movies.
Yeah.
Period. It's not just a Star Wars issue. It's a movie of storytelling. Issue.
yeah, right. I agree with that. The storytelling aspect
but
of it.
I guess my only
it's just not
rebuttal to
there.
that
It's
would
not
be I do see movies I don't like.
What movie don't you like?
Let me think of some movies I've seen recently. The movie I see a lot of kids movies.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other movies you don't like?
That I don't like?
I
What
absolutely
did I see?
hated season 8 of Game of
Oh.
Thrones.
Brian, we could be here all day talking about how that was a major
And yet
fail.
another podcast in the
I'm so
making.
upset.
I haven't seen any Game of Thrones, so I can't comment on that.
See,
But you should
I
try.
stopped around 3.
It's like The Office. Okay, like a lot of people like The Office. I don't
describes
like.
it the best. It's like a beautiful. It's like getting better. It's like a hand-drawn horse with pencil, and it keeps.
Yeah,
getting
yeah, I've
better.
seen that
And then
meme.
it turns into like a
That's
like,
good.
like this
Kid
goofy
drawing.
face, like stick figure drawing of a horse. I'm just like, yeah, that's and it's like seasons 1 through 3. It just gets better and better, and then it's like season 7 and 8. It's like, it's like the goofy head. Meme culture.
I am trying to think of the last time I
Use
saw,
like the Hobbit movies. Like I said, I didn't
Yeah.
really like those.
which I can't honestly say because
You never finished one.
so that's not
So
fair.
you never made it through any of the Hobbit films?
I don't think so. No.
Not even the first one.
No. I didn't go see it in the theater, and then it was like on a TV at someone's house, and I was just like, not gonna finish this.
Well, it's the title of The Hobbit's a little misleading. It's more like the Dwarf King under the mountain. It's Thorin Oak and Shield. That's who it's more
I was
about,
just confused
feel
how
like.
Ed
they-
Sheeran.
And
Like-
it-
Is there another example where you could read the book faster than you could watch the movies?
and unless you're a speed reader, I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
you're
so
really
Hobbit,
do you guys
short.
use Audible?
No.
One of the reasons I'm cranking out books
Well-
real fast is because I'm doing
Okay.
1.25% speed.
Oh yeah,
Right? It cuts 20.
I only do
most
that with
people read-
nonfiction books.
Most people read slow,
Yes.
right?
But
So-
I'm a really slow reader with my eye, like reading, not listening.
yeah, listening. I'm fine with.
I'm 100% on board with Audible. I do it a lot. It's a different skill set than reading.
Yeah.
it's still reading.
I
For
made
your
it.
ears.
It's as
hey,
legitimate
I
as
wouldn't
reading.
bro,
be like-
you were the friend I was asking for. On the Facebook post, remember I was like asking for a friend. You were
Oh.
that friend. I saw you
Okay.
make a post about it, and I was like, "Is this really reading?"
Most of the books I read are Audible books.
yeah, me
but
too.
it is a different skill set.
Like if I was like,
Like,
I
my-
read this book,
my-
would you be like, I read it too, or
How
I
does a blind
listened
person
to
No,
that
I don't
on
care about
Audible?
this.
How do you
I don't
describe
care about
that?
the semantics of in conversation. I'm just saying, like, my 5-year-old can't read, but he can listen to an
Yeah.
audiobook. So it's like two different skills.
And there's different
reading comprehension and listening comprehension.
different learning preferences as well.
I mostly do audiobooks. I have
Dude,
no
you
problem with
inspired me
audiobooks.
to do, like, I knew you were doing them, and like
I would probably read 12 books a year, and then I do 40 or 50 counting audiobooks. So I have no problem with it. But it is a different skill.
Yeah, I'm starting
Sure.
I'm going to start vlogging about the books I'm reading. We should maybe do something like that together, like read the same book and do a review on it.
I thought about doing a podcast just like a book club.
Hey, that would be...
The
you
world
wanna
needs
use the new
more
studio for
podcasts.
that? Just to co-record when I'm not there. I'll be teaching. So I am going to get I'm trying to get Billy Reeder and some other people to come in, and like they're just going to do some audio stuff. Because like I'm not going to be using that studio like 6-8 hours a day. It's just going to be sitting there.
Yeah.
Its own office basically. So
you're gonna rent out?
well, as long as they, what I'm going to try and get them to do, people that want to do that, is get them to upload on my channel.
Okay.
Or start your own show. Just put it on my YouTube channel for volume. You know.
Okay.
Like
So it'd be
you're
like
the guy. It's
MaximumFun.org. They have like 20
a
different
collective,
podcasts.
like a true collective, just built around the Life Unraveled.
Well, when
idea.
our powers combine, we become the sibling storing. That's our moniker, right?
Yeah.
That's,
Is it podcasting? Is all the stuff like I did, like what we're doing here, talking about, like just like that's just one of 5 shows I do. I got like history I do, like Thurman and I are going to do some history unravel, and then just interviewing. Like I've had like 10 PhDs on the podcast.
Yeah.
Somewhat recently even but like then it's like, oh, we could do we're doing movies, we could do books, or we're watching a fight or whatever it is. It's cool to capture all that.
All right, let's wrap this up. Because I really think we are a lot closer
I don't know about that.
than than I initially thought. But my main thing is, because I'm also not saying they're the greatest movies I've ever seen or seen this year or anything. I'm saying I went to the theater, I enjoyed them, and they're fine. And you would be saying...
I went to the theater. I didn't enjoy them. They're not fine.
So pretty close.
but not. Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
I think we're about on the same page with the prequels.
Yeah, I didn't like them.
The prequels have issues with its storytelling, and the effects have the tendency to overwhelm anything that's going on screen.
That's with me.
And so that's
I think
the prequels.
The only thing the prequels have going for them, besides Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan was really good, is that there is a cohesive story.
I do think the
story arcs going on.
The Anakin story is... I like that story.
There's a character arc for him.
Visually, it's confusing.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
And I think that's a weakness of the new trilogy,
Right,
is that the story isn't good. The character arcs are messy.
Yeah.
Or just non-existent. What is Finn's character arc besides to yell Rey or scream woo during the fights? That's all he does. What a waste.
He and Poe are going to hook up in a future trilogy.
Well, then they had to be aggressively straight in this last movie.
Aggressive.
Apparently, I read some articles that's like was speculated about, but that somebody pumped the brakes on it.
This is what I think is the problem with this is probably the last thing. I read something about speculation on what, where. Who said that? Who?
Why
does that?
Follow the Rise
Why
of
does
Skywalker
that
page, and they were talking.
Why
about,
does that contribute to the conversation? Like that has no bearing on the movies.
What do you mean?
The enjoyment.
Like all those
Is that-
expectations
I don't necessarily see that as an expectation.
Well, it was post.
Yeah.
This was post seeing it, so I guess it's creating expectations for what you might have in the future.
and you can go all the way back with that. So like
It's butterfly effect.
Those expectations are unmatchable. Like it's impossible. Like no one can make a Star Wars movie that parts of the internet like right now, because the expectations are so high.
But the expectations are high for the Marvel movies, and they keep delivering like what people
Baby
want to
Yoda.
see.
Yeah.
They keep delivering
like
they
Mandalorian.
keep delivering like pretty good, entertaining hero movies, but they're not like life-altering movies.
I mean-
I will say this: like one thing we could say about the new trilogy and the Marvel movies is that, or maybe it's a Disney, is it's a very formulaic model that they're following. Patch in series on Netflix. We got a cartoon over here. We're connector movies for these films. They're not coming out in order. There's like a formulaic model here that's being followed, and that's part of my critiques. Is like we're just using the same formula and making lots of money
Yeah.
with the weapon or whatever it is.
I feel like I'm talking too much.
But I feel like at least Marvel, there's thoughts about like, okay, what would these characters do? What should be the arc here? There's moments that inspire emotion with the moviegoers, and to me, Star Wars is just like pre-packaged. Like, okay, they want to see lightsaber battles. We need a villain. Let's bring back Palpatine. They like Palpatine. Like everything is just packaged for the consumer, without any thought of like, what should our story be?
So it's more of a product than say like a labor of love or
Yeah.
right.
I feel like the Marvel movies, they're still like making movies and writing stories.
Art.
They're bringing in filmmakers who are good, who know what they're doing.
Art.
Yeah, it's art, even though it's still like
I don't
popcorn
know, man.
entertainment.
I mean, yeah, it's like I like the Marvel movies, but I like the Star Wars movies more.
Okay.
Well,
I would probably say the same.
I mean,
Honestly,
like,
I like the Marvel
I mean,
movies.
you're
What are we
talking
talking
about,
about?
telling the same story over and over
so
again.
big too.
I mean, let me guess. He had some kind of troubled childhood. Let me guess. He's discovered some powers. He didn't know how to use them. We're like 25 movies in.
So far, every time I've been like, there's no way this Marvel movie is going to work. You can't have this many superheroes in the movie. I've been blown away and like, this is so entertaining. I'm so invested in these characters.
so are you
It
saying
was so fun.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Star Wars, to me, with the new trilogy and the prequels, it's not fun.
so you're saying that you went into these Marvel movies with
And I had some
zero expectations?
No, I had
or
a
with-
lot of expectations.
with a lot of expectations. And
deliver.
you were just okay. But Star Wars,
The Star Wars expectations are unreasonable.
I know. To
See,
me,
I
it's
don't-
the
Too
same.
high.
I go into every Star Wars movie just saying I'm going to go see a movie. I'm going to judge it on its own terms, its own merits. And that's what I do. I'm not going to be like, well, it's Star Wars. It has to be amazing. I'm just saying.
It could be amazing.
It could be,
like with
right, yeah, it
Mandalorian.
could
Like
be.
I think that we agree that like
right.
that satiates something that's along the lines of what we've been wanting.
Right, like Mandalorian, watched it, right? Like I went into it and I'm like, you know, this could be good or bad, but I'm going to watch it. I'm going to go into it with a fair mind. And I was blown away by how good Mandalorian was. So
Yeah. Same with Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue
I
One
left
too.
that movie being like, wow, that was good.
Rogue One to me actually gets better every time that you watch it.
Yeah, I just watched it again for probably
Yeah.
the fourth time the other night.
Every time you watch it, it gets better.
I think that movie has a shaky beginning, but they really land at the ending on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I left the theater being like, that was great. I really enjoyed it. Once again, cohesive story, made the original trilogy look
and
even better.
my context changed on that too because they're explaining like the kyber crystals relation to like a lot of stuff and like the lightsabers, but also the weapon. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well that, even though they're explaining away some of the critiques about the Death Star or whatever, I thought that was super cool.
The only other thing I have to say is we haven't talked about the original trilogy hardly at all.
Okay.
Because there's like an assumption that it's like we all start with the presupposition that it's infallible.
I'm
I
not
did- I-
saying
like
it's
the
Torah,
infallible.
man. It's like it's just the holy book.
The sacred Jedi
Yeah.
text.
Sacred Jedi text.
We don't
What's
use the same level of scrutiny for
What do
it.
you think is
It's like
the
baseline.
weak points of the original trilogy
Yeah.
that you think that we should be focusing on if we're going to be looking at the new ones like this?
I think it's weird that I'm trying to choose my words carefully.
This can all be edited.
Okay, so can I say something real quick? Well,
It's like I'm scared to even criticize it.
What?
People are going to talk way more smack in the comments about us being critical of the new trilogy because I already made a comment on the Rise of Skywalker page about something and people crucified me immediately. Sorry.
Do you want me to start by criticizing the original trilogy?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Ewoks were not the best choice.
Well, that was all product.
Yeah,
like,
that's selling toys.
marketing.
You can definitely tell there's some things that weren't planned out. The Luke and Leia
I was about to say that.
incest
Yes,
stuff
yes.
is
That
extremely
relationship.
weird.
I don't think that they were going to go with the route of them being related until the third movie.
Yeah.
So that's something that, like, we see those types of issues in the new movies, the new trilogy or the prequels, and we bring issue with it, but we maybe just didn't interpret it that way because they explained it away by Return of the Jedi. So we just accept, oh yeah, it's going to do that the whole time. Like, but then everybody looks back, and it's like they kissed and
Okay,
It's weird,
on
yeah.
Hoth. It's weird.
It was weird.
I thought of something I noticed that time when I watched them all again with Penelope. Whenever they blow up the one planet in front of Leia
Alderaan.
to like freak her out.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem that freaked out about it, but then like later they show up at this other system and for some reason they have to wait like 30 minutes to blow up the other planet or whatever.
How to like recharge
Oh,
the
it's
weapon or something like that?
recharging.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, they're
there's like
repositioning the.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Death
you're
Star.
talking about when because they go to Yavin. Yavin 4, I think is right. It was the name
Yeah.
of where the rebel base was. But like that now
there's all this stuff going like happening.
Right.
And like we're creating tension, you know, like
Yeah.
you limit the time to create tension. And so it's like, oh no,
Well,
are we going to get it done in time? And they're like standing there with their finger on the button.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
We still can't.
Well, I mean, yeah, either it can be probably explained by the recharge thing, but it also, I mean, is Yavin a planet or is it a moon? Because maybe it's the actual planet. Get the actual planet out of the way before you nuke the moon, right?
Yeah, it could have been.
But then again, if you're the Empire, why not just blow it all up, right?
Well, in one, was it Rogue? Which one was it they sent out like all of these planet destroying at once and destroying?
That was Force Awakens. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So at least it evolved to be able to do that.
I would probably argue that it's probably more of a recharge thing then.
Yeah. And
I thought they were trying to get like they couldn't see it or something. Or it was like,
right.
is
I
that
thought,
bad?
yeah, I
Is
think
that a
they
funny
had
angle?
to reposition, and then I think it had to recharge.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it because
So
it
they,
does
like,
help the story as
Yeah.
far as creating tension. There's a purpose to it, not just like.
So they couldn't just like hyperdrive like 100 yards over.
See, this sounds like nitpicking.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like
Well,
I don't.
Then you're running into this is an issue that the new trilogy has created because they're suddenly just like jumping around this place and this place.
Yeah.
Whereas before there was some rules anytime you went through hyperspace.
light speed skipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that?
That's kind of cool. I don't know. That was
What's
weird.
that?
Where they like where Poe?
Yeah, he was, like,
and Finn,
jumping,
They're
like-
jumping through, and it sets Millennium Falcon on fire and Rise of Skywalker,
Yeah.
and they like crash land when
Yeah.
Rey is.
Well, I mean, right. Okay. Okay.
Doesn't,
okay. You been right. You got
Doesn't
lights like the
Obi-Wan force?
Oh, they force run.
Yeah, even though they don't do it at
Him
other
and
times.
Qui-Gon
But
Jinn
yeah, that's
force run out of a room.
Yeah.
And they're like in their peak. They're like mid. You know, that's in their peak Jedi year. How does a Jedi career work? Is it like an NBA career, or is it?
You're a rookie. And
Yoda's trajectory is an outlier.
You know, because some people outlive their prime and they can maximize their. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really didn't want it to turn into like point counterpoint nitpicky. Here's an example, and well, here's the explanation, and oh, if you heard the Fortnite announcement, you would know. Because my whole idea, my whole thought is like I can never keep up with all that.
See, apparently Palpatine's laughs in the trailer, but I didn't see the trailer.
Yeah, see,
yeah.
I was just like
I
when
didn't see the
when I
trailer
saw
either.
the
know.
trailer, and yeah, you hear the laugh or whatever. It's like, okay, maybe they're just doing some callback thing. Maybe it's not like the Emperor's going to show
No.
up. Guess what?
I knew.
The Emperor showed up. So it's like, all right.
Well, they needed a villain.
Well, but they
killed
had
Snoke,
villains,
and they wanted
I'm
Kylo
telling you, bring him
Ren to
back with
have a-
shiny metal legs. There you go. You know?
Bring back Darth Maul or something.
Yeah.
Something new.
Darth Maul has to be the biggest.
He's gonna
letdown
come
from
back.
The
And
trailer
whatever they do after
expectations.
Solo, he'll come back.
Like before that movie came out, it was like Darth Maul. He was everywhere. All the Christmas toys. It was like, this is good, and he's in the movie.
Yeah.
For like,
Yeah, he has one saber duel and dead.
Yeah.
Well, no, wait, he's not dead, but I mean, it's over.
He even had the
gets cut-
high ground,
cut.
and he died.
Are the saber battles better in these films than what we've seen previously?
And then the
okay, what
I feel
about
like
when
that's something
Luke?
they've had to scale back because of the prequels.
What about when Luke
Yeah.
uses? Doesn't Luke at some point use his lightsaber like a ball bat?
what do you mean? He like swings,
Well, like
swing away.
there's a point where he like knocks someone over with it, but doesn't cut them in half.
Oh, he
I should have
uses
done
the
some
end.
I should have done some research.
What's your nitpick with that?
like? Does he have the power to
They
not
have
cut things with it sometimes?
What if I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. So
Maybe
I'd
I
have
just
to
I don't know. Maybe I made that up.
review the footage.
Which we
Review
should
the
all
play.
do. We should keep watching Star Wars, right? I mean, I'm gonna keep.
I got to
watching.
take a break.
I mean, well, I'm never gonna stop watching all the stuff we're talking about. I might not watch the new trilogy as much, but it's something like when I have kids, Corey and I have kids. It's like we'll definitely watch Star Wars. Yeah,
yeah.
it'll be like a part of like a family tradition, and I may start hating it, and I may have a cutoff point, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I would never watch the new trilogy movies again. I'll probably will. Like when the new film comes out, I'll probably watch them all again.
Never. Will you never watch them again?
Um,
I'm just saying there's going to be a
I don't
very
know.
probably long cool
Your
down
future
period.
child's turning 5.
if I ever have kids, I would try to hide these movies from them. They only need
What
to
about
know.
The Hobbit? Are you gonna hide The Hobbit too?
Yeah, they don't need to see The Hobbit. We'll just watch Lord of the
Let's
Rings.
do the book.
Yeah, we'll read the book. They don't need to know it was adapted into
Or
a
the
movie.
70s cartoon.
Well, see, that's like one of my goals to be a better fan or whatever is to consume more of the book material.
I want to do that too, actually.
I do like canon, non-canon, expanded universe, like Empire.
I want to know
Shadows of
why
the
they
Empire.
took the expanded universe and were like, none of this is non-canon now, everybody.
I know because, as I understand it, pretty much George Lucas kind of signed off on all that previous stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So-
Boba Fett lives.
Boba Fett lives. Why throw
maybe
all
for
that
a little
away?
bit.
I remember reading one when I was a kid. I've been trying to find it. Was it's called the Glove of Darth Vader or something. It's Luke trying to chase down the hand of Vader that had been cut off after
Wow.
Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
Christmas special counts.
That's canon.
Is it?
Life
Is
Day. We celebrate it,
I
don't
just
we?
saw
Oh,
that
that's
on
right,
YouTube
okay.
the other day. The Christmas special from like the.
Hey, you never watched it?
No. I
Oh
never seen
man,
it.
back in early internet days.
Yeah, it was like
we
it was,
had to
it was
hunt
a
down
legend.
individual
It was a
pieces.
legend. Yeah.
That's
It was-
a movie. In
What
and of
about?
itself.
Do we all like Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Dude,
I mean, I do.
I've never watched any episodes other than in Stahl's class in high school drama.
Well, like, what are we referring to here?
Yeah,
with
how much?
Like
'Cause
classic
I haven't
Who
seen
or-
all of
or
it.
Like the,
I haven't seen all of it. I'm not.
Yeah, I haven't watched-
completely caught up.
I haven't watched after what
Capaldi?
D12. Yeah, I haven't seen after that. So
The reason I thought of this is because there's like that universe is so crazy,
yeah,
Yeah.
and stuff happens all the time, and then they're just like, well, but I got a TARDIS, so it's unlimited power. Even when it didn't have this power before, now it does. And it's fine, like it's okay.
We are talking space operas here.
Yeah.
Like for Star Wars.
That's
you know,
why
it's-
I'm fine with if they want to be like, oh, we can force heal now. I'm like, it's the force. There's really no limitations to it.
Yeah, well, it would have been
Whatever.
nice if Mace. I saw the funny meme, but like Mace Windu was like, here's the point where like Anakin has a decision to not
Yeah.
And he was like, "Don't worry, Anakin, we can force heal her." And then they just kill Palpatine. and it's like the
End of the movie.
Yeah.
Credits.
Oh man, super funny. But there's like, this is my favorite Star Wars meme. Like A New Hope, you get Ben Kenobi. He's like, "This is your father's lightsaber. He killed dozens of children." Yes.
Okay, so I can agree and admit the story could have been stronger. This is not the only thing I'll say is that's not the usual argument you see online. That's not the usual complaint.
I want to get back to what you think's wrong with the original trilogy.
Yeah,
Because if you're just gonna nitpick how fast the Death Star can recharge and reposition itself, to me that's a nitpick. That's not a flaw in the storytelling.
Ewoks, guys.
What?
I think they should
Ewoks,
have
they're
gone
great.
to what's the Wookiee planet?
Kashyyyk.
Kashyyyk. It should have been on Kashyyyk, and then I could take Wookiees taking on the Empire. Then you get your furry toy characters and
Chewie gets to meet
That
his
makes
family.
sense.
Porgs.
porgs. That was
Yeah,
just
that's
all for
marketing too. That's
Okay, but what do you think is wrong with the original trilogy?
I like the original trilogy.
Yeah, but you're saying like
I just think I just think they're elevated to a level
Sacracy, like
that no other like.
I think to me the only one that's close to being perfect is Empire Strikes Back. That's a great movie. And I feel like you really have to look to find the narrative flaws or flaws with character arcs. You know, Star Wars, the New Hope's really fun. It's not super deep, but I feel like Empire is where they started to actually get into some deep themes there. And then Return of the Jedi, a little bit of a letdown, but it's hard to wrap up a trilogy. It's still fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah,
That's how I
I
felt
would
with
say
this
it's hard
movie,
to
the
wrap
new
up
one.
a quintilogy. What is 12?
we'll just go with
I
it. How
don't
about that? A trilogy.
Yeah,
12 a G?
12. I don't know.
Well, that's why they shouldn't have been trying to wrap up an entire... They were like, oh, this is the Skywalker saga. I'm like, who was the Skywalker in this? You killed them all. Why is this part of the Skywalker saga?
Yeah.
This should be its own thing.
a lot of people are happy that Skywalker line is gone. I would say that's been something I've kind of chimed in on. Like everybody's like, good, now we can have something new, which maybe
Because
is
it
what people wanted
made
with this.
The expectation's too high.
Yeah, like nobody was satisfied. I feel like by Mark Hamill's reemergence.
Mark Hamill wasn't satisfied.
Oh, he
with that.
talked major smack. Yeah. But maybe they needed to do this in order to give us something new to get past it. Or they could have. I think they could have just made a new characters, new trilogy, and not connected it. Maybe
or
that's
just
what
make
we
it
want.
subtle. That's why I'm saying things like Mandalorian work, where it's like you have your own standalone type story that a new generation can latch onto or whatever.
I can't wait till season 2.
Yeah, me too.
It's all out now.
Well, watch
Yeah,
out.
all
Don't
8
have too
episodes.
high of expectations.
Don't compare it to the original.
That's right.
trilogy.
All my favorite movies.
Even though it's super like it, I think. I mean,
All my favorite movies I watched having no idea what they even were or were about.
you just had like
I just happened to family
slate.
happened to be going to theater, or it was the only movie at Clarksville that I hadn't seen,
yeah.
and I
You
was
saw
going
the
I was
other
going to the
three.
movies. Yeah,
Yeah, I do like that. Like where you're just like super pleasantly surprised by the quality of the
I
film
like
that you had
being-
zero expectations about. Like that is a valuable thing to go in without some sort of preconceived notion. Because I
Right.
will remark like films I've seen that are like that ended up being really good. I was happy about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's fine to have expectations. And you still have you can meet expectations, you can exceed
Well, yeah, because you're a
expectations.
consumer. I mean, really, like you're going and paying for the product, and I'm like saying like how much like I spent so much money on Star Wars action figures recently. I actually got in trouble by my wife. You know, like stop spending money on Star Wars action figures. I was like, okay, but you know, we just have these we have all these expectations, and because we're consumers.
Yeah.
Like we're paying for this,
Right.
you
It's
know. And I paid a lot of
capitalism.
money over my life,
Capitalism is
and I'm
fun.
literally invested in the franchise.
And not just expectations. We need to have some standards for these Star Wars movies. I don't like this idea that it's
I
Star
thought I
Wars,
have
so I
no
like
standards.
it.
My standard is, does it thrill me? That's my
I
standard.
wasn't thrilled by it at all.
Well, okay, so the flying stormtroopers are cool. I like them.
The what?
The flying
flying
stormtroopers, and they
stormtroopers?
like launched them up in the air on that planet Pasama
Oh, yeah.
or whatever, the desert-like planet.
Oh yeah. Were we not into that?
I liked that, man. And the
was okay. I
the
didn't feel
flying
anything
stormtrooper-
when I
because
saw
again, it was like what I said with the drifting
So,
X-wing. I'd never seen
So
it.
my okay, my my standard is thrill. Your standard is I felt something.
Yeah. To me, like
You want to be moved.
Star Wars
So.
is usually thought of as like the emotional, like especially because it gets compared to Star Trek a whole lot. Star Trek is more about like thinking and
Logic.
There's a lot of logic. Star Wars to me is all emotion. I mean, it's about the Force, and what is the Force, and
I agree.
it's supposed to be
That-
about the characters.
But I got teared up a couple times
When did you get teared up?
with Ben and his dad.
Yeah, see, I'm saying that's like to me, that's the most emotionally resonating part of that whole film.
I thought that was all nostalgia, and we just needed to see Han Solo live one more time.
I was like,
You may be right.
I can't believe he came back for this.
yeah, I know.
thought he
I was
over
like,
this.
oh, they're doing that just because everybody's pissed that he's dead. Is how I felt about it. Because I know I was like, when I saw Force Awakens, they killed Han Solo. I was like, we just got him back. Like I was just like, what are you doing?
See, that's an example of not just watching the movie and being in the moment of the movie. You're upset about the logistics of how many more minutes of screen time does Harrison Ford have.
Well, actually, I mean, you could say that, but then when they brought him back, I was like, I see what you did there. It was like a ding on the new movie in my mind. But it's like, but that's honestly like them killing him and me getting emotional. Like that's me feeling it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
they killed him,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, no.
And I'll say, like, Force Awakens, I had some emotional reactions. I like Rey's introduction. I like when she's just sitting out by herself outside of the little AT-AT.
Or geez, even like when they introduced the character of Finn, a
Yeah.
stormtrooper who doesn't want to kill anybody. You
That's
know?
the
It's
last
like-
time he'll do anything interesting. But
Yeah, you know, it's
like
just
that.
like
Han Solo getting
it's
killed.
like the PTSD thing. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
Force Awakens might be my favorite one of the new trilogy.
Yeah, I
That
agree.
was,
I absolutely agree. I
Yeah.
like Force Awakens. I thought it was a good film, despite the fact that some may claim it's very derivative.
It's A New Hope.
Yeah, with
Remade.
essentially with a new title. But I enjoyed it, and yeah, I thought it was a good film, and it was a fun film. And these other movies, I just didn't have that.
I agree.
same- But these
It
other
was,
films,
it was competent. That's all I'll
It,
say.
you know,
about
I will
it.
say too, it kind of set up because of what we're all saying. I think it set our expectations to be a little like, oh, like we're going to get this again. Like Mark Hamill's going to be in Rise of Skywalker. We wait 2 years, kind of a letdown.
Well, to me, The Last Jedi was like a torpedo in this trilogy that just blew everything up. Because all Rian Johnson seemed to want to do is to take everything The Force Awakens set up and to do the opposite. And so then
feel
you
that
bring J.J. Abrams back in, and he made The Force Awakens, so he's going to have to undo stuff from The Last Jedi to reset up stuff from The Force Awakens. That's a mess. That is not a cohesive story.
It is kind of muddy.
yeah, it drags.
Kind
I
of?
would like to, kind of just it's
It drags.
a little.
muddy.
Those last two movies in this trilogy, I'll say Force Awakens, even though it's like a 2.5 hour film, I felt like it went by like that. These last two movies, I felt every single minute that I was in that theater.
Oh man,
I felt like this one. I didn't notice it as much the second time, the length, but the first time I was sitting there, and it's like really from the time they get on the planet where they have to ride across the water or whatever. That's when
Yeah.
I started. I was like, but I didn't feel that as much the next time.
Yeah.
My mom checked her watch during Rise of Skywalker about 20 minutes in. I was like, we got a ways to go.
Yeah, long way.
Man,
well, speaking of dragging on,
Yeah. Hey, let's go ahead and wrap it
I
up.
think we're to the 7th
Yeah.
season of this
What?
The 7th season.
of this Game of Thrones meme.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Let's not go into 8.
our horse head is not fit. But yeah. Now that is, it's, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thurman, we need to do some history podcasts.
Yeah, of
soon.
course. Absolutely.
Whatever we do, just let's talk about it after this and
Yeah.
maybe play some music and stuff. Josh, have you published anything lately? You got
No.
anything we need to talk about in the future?
I published one story last year, and then I try to finish my book.
Well, hey, let's think about maybe doing some future book stuff together, or
I thought I finished it, went back and reread it. There was a lot of continuity issues, and so I had to start over.
Were you
Okay.
entertained though? Did
No,
you have fun?
I wasn't. I went back
Okay.
to reread it, and I was like, "This is boring."
Yeah, we talked about your story a little bit when you were on
Yeah.
the last show. So, well, and Julie, welcome back to Arkansas.
Thanks.
Glad you made it back. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah,
and
thanks for
taking the
having
time.
me.
So you started a new job soon. So good luck with all that, right? Did I see?
I
about
I
that?
started on Thursday.
Oh, okay. All right.
New year, new you.
New year, new
Excellent.
you.
Well, guys, thanks so much for coming on. See you all soon.
May the force be with you.
And also with you.